My sister drained our mother's $250,000 life insurance policy for her boyfriend's business venture. I was ready to lawyer up and fight until my brother David, who everyone thinks is slow because of his learning disability, smiled and said, "Jen, don't worry. I've been keeping track of everything. She's already caught." 3 days later, Lisa called me screaming about federal investigators at her door. I should have seen it coming. When Mom died 6 months ago from pancreatic cancer, Lisa showed up to the hospital exactly once 30 minutes before the end, just long enough to whisper something in Mom's ear that made her squeeze Lisa's hand. At the funeral, my sister wore Prada sunglasses and left before the reception to catch a flight to Miami. "Brett has an important investor meeting," she'd explained, air-kissing my cheek without actually touching me. David and I had spent 3 days going through Mom's papers in her small row house in northeast Philly. The place smelled like her lavender lotion and the cinnamon candles she burned every evening. My brother worked methodically, sorting documents into color-coded folders he'd created: blue for bills, green for insurance, yellow for legal documents, red for important. He'd always been like that, obsessively organized, finding patterns where others saw chaos. "David, we don't need to keep all her grocery receipts," I'd said gently, watching him arrange papers by date and store. He looked up at me with those serious hazel eyes. "Pattern recognition, Jen. Mom taught me that. Everything tells a story if you know how to read it." I'd smiled, thinking he was just processing grief in his own way. David had been Mom's shadow since his diagnosis at age 7, moderate learning disability, they'd called it. Though he'd proven every specialist wrong by graduating high school and getting his associate degree in accounting. He worked part-time at a local tax prep office, living in a small apartment 3 blocks from where Mom had lived, visiting her every single day. While Lisa had escaped to Manhattan straight out of college, building her successful marketing career and dating a string of wealthy men, David had stayed. He'd been there for every chemo appointment, every midnight ER visit, every moment Mom needed someone. I lived in Center City, worked 60-hour weeks managing construction projects, but I came by every weekend. David was there every day. 3 weeks after the funeral, we met with Mom's lawyer, Mr. Kowalski, a Polish man in his 70s who'd known our family for 30 years. The will was straightforward: the house would be sold and split 3 ways. Mom's savings, about $15,000, would be divided equally. But the life insurance policy, $250,000, was different. "Your mother made Lisa the primary beneficiary and executor," Mr. Kowalski had explained, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "She changed this about 2 months before she passed. Previously, all 3 of you were equal beneficiaries." My stomach dropped. "She changed it to just Lisa?" "The instructions state that Lisa is to distribute the funds appropriately among family members according to your mother's verbal wishes." He slid papers across his mahogany desk. "It's unusual, but legal." David had been silent during the entire meeting, studying the documents with that intense focus he brought to everything. On the drive home, he finally spoke. "Mom told me something the week before she died." "What?" I gripped the steering wheel, navigating rush-hour traffic on I-95. "She said, David, I'm going to make sure you and Jennifer are taken care of, but I need to do it in a way that teaches Lisa an important lesson." I didn't understand what she meant. Neither did I. Not then. Lisa called me 2 days later. Her voice had that bright, brittle quality she used when she wanted something. "Jen? So I've been going through Mom's finances. It's a mess, honestly. Brett's helping me organize everything. He's amazing with money, you know." Brett. Her boyfriend of 8 months. A slick-talking 45-year-old who'd been through 3 failed businesses and 2 bankruptcies, according to the background check I absolutely did not run because that would be paranoid. Except I did, because something about him made my project manager instincts scream red flag. "What about the life insurance?" I kept my voice neutral. "Oh, that. Yeah, so here's the thing. Brett has this incredible opportunity, an app that connects small businesses with sustainable suppliers. The investors are practically throwing money at us, but we need $200,000 to secure the patents and initial development. It's a 6-month turnaround, and we'll double the investment. So I'm thinking we put the insurance money into that, let it grow, and then we can all get even more than Mom left us." My hands shook. "Lisa, that's not what the money is for. That's Mom's legacy. That's supposed to help David. David will get his share." "Jesus, Jen, why are you always so negative?" This is an investment in all our futures. Besides, I'm the executor. I have the legal right to make financial decisions. That money is supposed to be distributed among us. Mom said. Mom said I should handle it as I see fit. That's what the will says. Look, I don't have time to argue. Brett needs an answer by Friday. Are you in or are you going to be difficult about this? I wasn't in. I called my own lawyer that afternoon. By Wednesday, I'd learned several infuriating facts. First, as executor and primary beneficiary, Lisa technically could do whatever she wanted with the money until someone successfully challenged her in court. Second, that process would take months and cost thousands. Third, we'd need to prove she was acting against Mom's wishes, which would be nearly impossible without documentation. I sat in my apartment that evening, staring at my laptop screen, feeling helpless rage build in my chest. Mom had worked as a nurse for 35 years, saving every penny, going without so much so we could have school supplies and Christmas presents. That insurance policy represented her entire life's safety net. And Lisa was going to gamble it on her con artist boyfriend's latest scheme. My phone rang. David. Jen, can I come over? I need to show you something. 20 minutes later, my brother sat at my kitchen table with his laptop and 3 of his color-coded folders. He opened the laptop first, turning it so I could see. The screen showed a spreadsheet that made my project manager heart sing, perfectly organized, color-coded, with tabs labeled transactions, communications, business records, and evidence. David, what is this? I've been tracking Lisa's financial activity for 7 weeks. Since Mom changed the will. He clicked to the Transactions tab. See, this is every deposit and withdrawal from the account Mom set up for medical expenses. Mom gave Lisa access 6 months ago to help pay bills when things got bad. I leaned closer. The spreadsheet showed dozens of withdrawals, each one documented with date, amount, and a note column. $500, Venmo to Brett Hausman. $1,200, transfer to B. Hausman account, $800, cash withdrawal, ATM, near Brett's apartment. David, how did you get this information? Mom gave me view access to all her accounts. She said, David, you're good with numbers. Keep an eye on things for me. So I did. I downloaded everything every week and tracked it. He clicked to another tab. This is the life insurance company. I called them 3 times, asking about the policy status. They told me it was paid out 8 days ago. All $250,000, transferred to Lisa's personal checking account. My hands covered my mouth. She already took it? She took it the day after she was legally allowed to. 5 days before she called you about Brett's opportunity. David's voice was matter of fact, but I saw his jaw tighten. That's when I knew. Knew what? That she was stealing from us. That she'd already decided to keep it all. The story about the investment was just to keep you quiet while she moved the money somewhere we couldn't track it. He opened one of the physical folders. I started researching Brett. The folder was thick with printouts. News articles about his previous business failures. Court documents from his bankruptcies. Screenshots of his social media, showing him at expensive restaurants, driving a new BMW, posting about investor meetings in Las Vegas and Miami. Brett doesn't have investors, David said quietly. He has debt. $340,000 in debt. Credit cards, personal loans, unpaid business expenses. I found the records. He's being sued by 3 different creditors. I stared at my brother. This was the person everyone in our family had underestimated. The one Lisa called Simple Simon behind his back. The one relatives spoke to slowly and loudly, as if his learning disability meant he was stupid rather than just processing information differently. How did you find all this? Public records. Once you know where to look, it's all there. Court filings, business registrations, bankruptcy documents, it's all public. I just had to organize it and see the pattern. He clicked to another spreadsheet tab labeled Fraud Indicators. And this is where it gets interesting. The sheet showed transfer records from Lisa's account. In the 8 days since receiving the insurance payout, she'd moved money in a specific pattern. $50,000 to an account in Brett's name. $30,000 to something called Hausman Enterprises LLC. $25,000 to another business entity. Small transfers to various accounts, none over $10,000, clearly trying to avoid triggering automatic bank reports. She's trying to hide the money trail, I whispered. She's trying, David corrected. But she's not very good at it. See, I worked at the tax prep office for 8 years. I know what money laundering patterns look like. I know what structuring transactions means. And I know that what Lisa's doing is very, very illegal. My brilliant brother. My supposedly slow brother. He'd been building a case. What do we do? David closed his laptop. We wait. Lisa's going to keep moving money, trying to get it somewhere safe. But every transaction she makes is evidence. And in about 3 days, she's going to get a letter from the IRS. The IRS? I filed a Form 3949A. Information referral. Anonymous tip about suspicious financial activity involving life insurance proceeds. He pulled out another document from his folder. I also filed reports with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, the State Attorney General's Office, and the Life Insurance Company's Fraud Investigation Unit. I couldn't speak. David continued, his voice calm and methodical. I sent copies of everything to Mr. Kowalski, Mom's lawyer, along with a letter explaining that I believe Lisa is violating her fiduciary duty as executor. I documented every withdrawal from Mom's medical account, $27,000 total, that Lisa took while Mom was in hospice. I have records showing that Mom's pain medications weren't filled 3 times because the account was empty. Even though Lisa said she'd taken care of everything. Tears burned my eyes. She let Mom suffer so she could steal? I have proof. Pharmacy records, timestamps, text messages from Mom asking me to pick up prescriptions but not having enough money in the account Lisa was supposed to be managing. His hands clenched into fists. Mom knew, Jen. That's why she changed the will. What? Mom set a trap. She made Lisa the executor knowing she'd steal. Because she wanted Lisa to face real consequences. David pulled out a final document, a letter in Mom's handwriting, addressed to Mr. Kowalski and dated 2 months before her death. I read it, my hands trembling. Mom's words were clear and deliberate. If Lisa uses the insurance money for anything other than supporting her siblings within 30 days, she is to be reported to the appropriate authorities. David has been instructed to document everything. This is not about money, this is about finally teaching my eldest daughter that actions have consequences. Jennifer and David will be fine. They have each other, and they have integrity. Lisa needs to learn what she's lost. Mom planned this, I whispered. Mom knew Lisa would show exactly who she really was if given the chance. So she gave her that chance, and she asked me to make sure there was evidence. David's eyes met mine. I'm not slow, Jen. I just think differently. I see patterns everyone else misses. And I saw exactly what Lisa was going to do from the moment Mom changed that will. The next 3 days were excruciating. I wanted to call Lisa, to confront her, to scream. David insisted we wait. Let her keep digging, he said. Every day, she makes it worse for herself. On Friday afternoon, Lisa called. Her voice was completely different, panicked, shrill, breaking. Jen, oh my God, you have to help me. There are federal agents at my apartment. They're talking about fraud investigations and seizing my accounts. They say I'm under investigation for insurance fraud and theft. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. I put her on speaker so David could hear. He sat across from me at my kitchen table, his laptop open, tracking something I couldn't see. What did you do with Mom's money, Lisa? I told you. Brett's business opportunity. It's a legitimate investment. Really? Because David found some interesting things about Brett's business history. David? She laughed, a hysterical edge to it. David can barely manage his own checking account. What could he possibly? David discovered that Brett has $340,000 in debt and 3 active lawsuits against him. David also noticed that you've been moving Mom's money through multiple accounts in a pattern that looks a lot like money laundering. David filed reports with the IRS, the FBI, the State Attorney General, and the insurance company's fraud division. Silence. Then. That's impossible. David couldn't. He doesn't know how to. I'm sitting right here, Lisa. David's voice was steady. And I know exactly what you did. I have records of every dollar you stole from Mom's medical account. I have proof that Mom went without pain medication because you emptied the account she trusted you to manage. I have evidence that you took the life insurance money with no intention of sharing it. And I have documentation showing how you're trying to hide the money so we can't recover it. Lisa's voice cracked. You have no right. I'm the executor. Mom chose me. Mom chose you to prove a point, David interrupted. She left me a letter explaining everything. She knew you'd steal. She wanted you to. So you'd finally face consequences for once in your life. I heard sobbing on the other end of the line. Please, you don't understand. Brett said this was a sure thing. He said we'd double the money. I was going to pay you both back. I was going to make it right. Where's Brett now? David asked. More silence. He left, didn't he? David's voice held no satisfaction, just weary certainty. As soon as the federal agents started asking questions, he disappeared. Because he was never going to stay. He used you to access Mom's money, and now he's gone. Lisa's sobs were painful to hear. Despite everything, she was still my sister. But David was right, this needed to happen. The investigators are going to trace every dollar, David continued. You structured the transactions to avoid detection, which makes it worse. The IRS is going to want taxes on the full amount, plus penalties. The fraud charges carry prison time. And Brett? He's probably in another state by now, spending the money you gave him while you face the charges alone. What do I do? Lisa whispered. You get a lawyer, I said, finding my voice. A good one. And you cooperate fully with the investigation. You return every cent you can find. And you pray that Mr. Kowalski can negotiate some kind of restitution agreement that keeps you out of federal prison. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I never meant. Yes, you did. My voice was harder than I intended. You've been taking advantage of David and me your whole life. You've looked down on us, called David stupid, treated Mom like an ATM. This isn't a mistake, Lisa. This is who you've always been. The only difference is that this time, there are consequences. I hung up. David closed his laptop. She'll call back. I know. Are you okay? I looked at my brother, my brilliant, underestimated, extraordinary brother who'd protected our mother's legacy with more intelligence and dedication than anyone had given him credit for. I'm proud of you, I said. So proud I could burst. He smiled, just slightly. Mom would have liked that I used spreadsheets. She always said I was good with patterns. The next weeks were a blur of legal proceedings. Lisa's lawyer contacted us about restitution. She'd managed to recover $180,000 of the original $250,000. Brett had indeed vanished with the rest. Last seen boarding a flight to Costa Rica, using a new credit card he'd opened in Lisa's name. Mr. Kowalski worked with the prosecutors to arrange a plea deal. Lisa would plead guilty to fraud charges, serve 18 months in a minimum security facility, pay full restitution of $250,000, including what Brett had stolen, and be permanently removed as executor of Mom's estate. David and I split what was recovered. I put my share in a trust for my daughter's college fund. I had a 10-year-old I was raising alone after my divorce, and Mom had always worried about her granddaughter's future. David did something extraordinary. He used his portion to start a nonprofit called Pattern Recognition Financial Services, a free financial advocacy program for people with learning disabilities and their families. He'd realized during his research that families like ours were frequent targets for financial exploitation because people underestimated those with disabilities. 6 months after Mom's death, I sat in David's new office, a small space above a coffee shop in Northeast Philly, covered in color-coded folders and whiteboards full of organized information. He'd already helped 12 families identify and stop financial abuse. He'd trained 3 other people with disabilities to do the same kind of detailed financial tracking he'd done. Mom knew, David said, showing me a letter he'd found in one of her old photo albums. Look. The letter was addressed to him, dated 3 months before her death. My dearest David. Everyone has always underestimated you. They see your disability and assume you're less than you are. But I've always known the truth. You see the world in ways others can't. You find patterns, you notice details, you remember everything. I'm asking you to use those gifts to protect yourself and your sister from Lisa. I love her, but she's become someone who takes advantage of people. I need to know that you and Jennifer will be okay when I'm gone. You're stronger than anyone knows, sweetheart. Show them. All my love. Mom. I wiped tears from my eyes. She believed in you. She believed in both of us, David corrected. That's why she knew we'd be okay. Before we continue, I want to thank you for joining me and sharing stories about protecting our families. If you believe people with disabilities deserve to be seen as the capable, brilliant individuals they are, please consider subscribing. It's free and helps us reach more families who need to hear this. Now, let me tell you about the day Lisa was released from prison and what happened when she tried to contact us again. 18 months seemed to pass in both an instant and an eternity. David's nonprofit had grown. He now had 5 employees, all people with various disabilities, and they'd recovered over $2 million in stolen funds for vulnerable families. He'd been featured in the Philadelphia Inquirer and even did a segment on local news about financial exploitation of disabled adults. I'd gotten a promotion at work and moved to a better apartment in Fishtown. My daughter Sophie was 12 now, thriving, and absolutely obsessed with her Uncle David. She'd started volunteering at his office on weekends, helping organize files and learning his color coding system. Uncle David is the smartest person I know, she'd announced at dinner one night. He taught me that being smart isn't about being fast, it's about being thorough. I'd hugged her tight, thinking about how Mom would have loved seeing this. Lisa's release date arrived on a Tuesday in September. I'd gotten a letter from her a few weeks before, carefully worded, probably reviewed by her lawyer, apologizing and asking if we could meet. David and I had discussed it extensively. It's your choice, he'd said. I forgive her because holding on to anger is exhausting. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust. She proved who she is. I'd agreed to meet her at a coffee shop in Center City. Neutral ground. She looked different. Thinner, grayer, older than her 44 years. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by Target jeans and a plain sweater. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around a cup of tea she didn't drink. "Thank you for seeing me," she said quietly. I waited. "I've had a lot of time to think. And to read." She pulled a book from her bag, something about understanding learning disabilities. I learned about David's condition. Really learned. Not just dismissed it like I always did. I didn't know that people with learning disabilities often have exceptional pattern recognition skills. I didn't know that different doesn't mean less. "You could have known," I said. "If you'd bothered to see him as a person instead of someone to look down on." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I was terrible to both of you. I was Mom's biggest disappointment, and I spent my whole life pretending I was superior to hide how much I'd failed. Mom didn't. She did. And she was right to be disappointed." Lisa pulled out an envelope. "This is a payment plan I've worked out with my lawyer. I still owe $70,000 to complete the restitution. I'm working 2 jobs, retail and overnight stocking. I'm going to pay back every cent, even if it takes me 10 years. I took the envelope but didn't open it. "What do you want from me, Lisa?" "Nothing. I don't deserve anything from you or David. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did. I stole from my own mother while she was dying. I looked down on my brother who was worth 10 of me. I took advantage of my sister's kindness." She stood up. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to become someone Mom wouldn't have been ashamed of." She left before I could respond. That evening, I showed David the payment plan. He studied it carefully, then did what he always did: created a spreadsheet tracking the proposed payments against Lisa's likely income, evaluating whether the plan was realistic or just another empty promise. "It'll work," he concluded. "If she actually sticks to it, the math checks out." "Do you want to see her?" I asked. He was quiet for a long time. "Maybe someday. When I'm ready. Right now, I'm focused on the families I can help, people who remind me of us, who are being stolen from and dismissed and underestimated." "You're remarkable, you know that?" "I'm normal," he corrected with a slight smile. "Everyone's remarkable if you take time to see their gifts instead of their limitations." 2 years later, I stood in a university auditorium as David accepted an award from the National Disability Rights Network. He wore a suit we'd picked out together, his speech cards color-coded, of course. His hands steady as he approached the podium. "People told me my whole life what I couldn't do," he began. "They said I couldn't go to college. I did. They said I couldn't hold a job. I worked at the same company for 9 years. They said I couldn't understand complex financial systems. I used those systems to protect vulnerable people and recover millions of dollars." The audience applauded. Sophie squeezed my hand, her face glowing with pride. My mother taught me that different isn't less. She taught me to trust my gifts, even when others couldn't see them. And when she died, she gave me one final gift, the chance to prove that the person everyone underestimated was exactly the person they needed. He paused, emotion flickering across his face. My sister Lisa made terrible choices. She stole from our family and went to prison. But she's rebuilding her life now, and I respect that. Because everyone deserves a chance to show they can grow. And growth means admitting you were wrong, making restitution, and becoming better. I hadn't known Lisa was there until that moment. She sat in the back row, crying silently, watching her brother, the one she'd called Simple Simon, the one she'd dismissed and mocked, receive recognition for his brilliance and compassion. After the ceremony, David approached her. I watched from across the room as they spoke quietly. I don't know what he said, but I saw Lisa nod, wipe her eyes, and then do something I never thought I'd see. She bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect. David came back to where Sophie and I waited. I told her she could volunteer at the nonprofit if she wants. We need someone to help with intake paperwork. It doesn't pay, but it's honest work helping people. Can she be trusted? I asked. I'll track everything, he said simply. Trust and verify. Mom would approve. That night, after putting Sophie to bed, I pulled out the last letter Mom had written, the one Mr. Kowalski had given me the week after her funeral. I'd read it 100 times, but it meant more now. Jennifer. If you're reading this, then David has proven what I always knew: he's brilliant in ways most people will never understand. Take care of him, but don't coddle him. He doesn't need protection. He needs people to see his strengths. Lisa will either learn from the consequences I've set in motion, or she won't. Either way, you and David will be fine. You have each other. You have integrity. You have the ability to see people as they truly are, not as they appear. Your father and I raised you with love, but we also raised you with wisdom. Use both. Protect those who need protecting. Forgive those who earn forgiveness. And always, always trust that people can be more than they seem, for better or worse. I'm so proud of you both. Love always. Mom. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my jewelry box, next to Mom's wedding ring and the color-coded folder David had made me labeled important memories. My phone buzzed. A text from David: Sophie left her backpack at the office. I'm dropping it by in the morning. Also, I finished the report on that new case, the family with the missing pension fund. I found the pattern. They're going to get their money back. I smiled. Of course, he found the pattern. He always did. Another text. Jen, thank you for always believing I could do this. Mom was right, we have each other. I typed back. Always. You're the smartest person I know. His response made me laugh. I know. But thank you for saying it. Color-coded spreadsheets forever? Color-coded spreadsheets forever, I confirmed. And somewhere, I knew Mom was smiling, proud of her 3 children, the 2 who'd found their strength and each other, and the one who was finally, slowly, learning what it meant to be part of a family built on integrity instead of appearances. If this story resonated with you, please share it. There are too many families being exploited by people they trust, too many individuals with disabilities who are underestimated and taken advantage of. My brother David proved that different minds see patterns others miss, solve problems others overlook, and protect people others would abandon. What was your favorite moment? Drop it in the comments below. And if you know someone with a disability who's brilliant in their own unique way, tell them. Tell them they're seen, they're valued, and they're exactly what this world needs. Subscribe for more incredible family protection stories. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And remember, the people you underestimate might be the ones who save you.